The greatest show on earth started again. MasterChef Australia 2025 officially kicked off. And the first dish I'm making this year is Depinder's Butter Chicken. So we're going to start off by making a marinade. Now she marinates this chicken twice. I'm not 100% sure why. Maybe because of the time constraint, because it's MasterChef kitchen, or this is how you actually do it. I'm not sure, but we're going to be doing it twice. So now we start making the paste for the first marinade. We start off by adding a bunch of garlic cloves to a mini food processor, along with a couple of green chillies and some ginger. Now we just pop the top on, and we just blend it up to a nice paste. Don't forget to give the sides a little scrape down. So it doesn't say to put the lemon juice in with this paste, but because my mini food processor is actually too big for the amount of ingredients I got there, I'm not getting a smooth paste how I'd imagine it should be. So I'm going to add my lemon juice straight to this, which is just the juice of half a lemon. Hopefully, when I start blending this up, it actually brings it into a nice little paste here. So we'll give that a crack. It does seem to work a little bit better. It's a bit more paste-like now. So now we add 2 tablespoons of this paste to some cubed up chicken. Now, I was meant to add the whole half of lemon juice in here with some salt, which I'm going to add now. But because I added all of that half of lemon juice to the paste to get it thinner, I'm just going to add a little bit more fresh lemon juice to give the chicken a bit more lemony flavour. So we'll get that all in. Then we'll glove up a hand because, I don't know, felt like using a glove today. Then we'll just get that marinade all mixed in with the chicken. Also, the chicken's cubed up to about, what's that, 2 fingers thick. Next we're going to add some cashews and some water to a pot. And we're going to put this on a stove and we're just going to simmer them, soften them up there for 5 or 10 minutes. My cashews are already roasted and salted because that's all I can get at the shop, but it's going to be just fine. We just need to soften them up a little. And with a little saucepan that I've preheated, we're going to add some whole spices, just some cumin, peppercorn and cumin. We're just going to toast them off until they're fragrant. Shouldn't take too long, so don't burn them. So there you go. Looks exactly the same, but they're smelling nice and fragrant. I simmered my cashews away for about, I don't know, 8 minutes in total, and I removed them to the mini food processor again. So, I'm going to pop the lid on, and we're going to blend these till they're nice and smooth. If I can get the lid on, that is. So you just want to grind it down to a paste like that, and then, because it's still a little bit warm, we're going to set it aside and let it cool before we add it to the chicken. So, next step, we're going to grind these down to a nice fine powder. Now, if you had a spice grinder, that'd be the best thing to use, but I don't. And this is the next best thing I have. So we're going to bung them all in. Also, I cooled these spices down. Then we're just going to pop the lid on and make them into a powder. So with my setup I have here, that's about as fine as I'm going to get it, which I think is just fine. Get it? Because you know, my spices are ground fine. So now to the chicken, we're going to add the cashew paste. That's cooled slightly. We're also going to add a teaspoon of chaat masala, which is completely different from garam masala. It smells like a lot more bright and citrusy. I'm very interested to use this one because, you know, I've never used it before. And it smells absolutely amazing. Then we're going to add some fenugreek. Then we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of our spice mix we just made. Some yoghurt. Once you get all those ingredients in the bowl, we're going to slap on a glove again. And we're going to mix all this up to get it all nice and combined. Alright, once it's all nice and combined, we're going to sit it aside, let it marinate, while we get all the other stuff ready. So next step is, we're going to make the chutney. The leftover from our garlic, ginger and chili paste, we're going to slap that in. Then we're going to put in some cumin, sugar and salt. All goes in. So it just says a bunch of coriander. We're going to put in here, stems and all, which I've chopped up just to help out my immersion blender, because if we didn't chop it up, it would get all wrapped around the little blade in there. I'm talking from personal experience. It's a good idea to do this. So also in the recipe that I'm following, it says in the description, it says to add mint, but in the ingredients list, it doesn't have any mint. So I'm still going to put some in because I do believe that it's meant to be in there. As for how much, well, I just picked the leaves off 2 stems, which is about, I would say, a good half a handful full. Do with that what you will. You could just add yours to taste. And then finally to this, before we blend, a couple of tablespoons of yogurt. Now immersion blender goes in, and we blend it to a nice sauce-like consistency. So, after you blended this into a nice smooth sauce, you're gonna add a half a lime juice. Now here's a little handy tip. If you've got some old hard limes that you gotta use up, just roll them on the bench a little bit before you squeeze the juice out, and you should get more. So we've got the lime juice in, now we're gonna add some more chaat masala, and we're gonna give that a little mix in. I mean, you could use the immersion blender, but I already got my spatula in there, so that's what I'm gonna use. And then we give it a taste to see where we're at. Okay, once you've given it a taste, and it's exactly where you want it, you wanna take about a tablespoon out of it, and stick it into a bowl, a medium-sized bowl it says. This is the bowl we're gonna be adding the chicken to after we finish cooking it, to, you know, mix it through. So, make sure the bowl's adequately sized for all the chicken. All right, then you're gonna put the remainder of this chutney into the serving dish. So to finish off this sauce that we're gonna toss the chicken through, to this bowl, I'm gonna add half a red onion that I've sliced up nice and thin. Then we're gonna add 1/4 cup of ghee or melted butter. In this case, I'm using Butterschmalz because, you know, we're in Austria, and that's pretty much ghee. Then we're gonna add some cream. And then we're going to finish this off with some yogurt. Then we'll just go ahead and get that all nice and mixed up. To the bowl of my stand mixer, I'm going to add my flour, which is going to be 2 types today. So we're going to add some plain flour and some wholemeal. So to the flour, I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add some ghee, or in my case, some Butterschmalz, and some water. If you were kneading this by hand, which the recipe actually states to, but I'm not, I'm going to be using my stand mixer, which I'm pulling in here. Now, if I was doing it by hand, I would have melted the ghee down a little bit. I made it extra soft to make it easy to incorporate. Because I'm using mechanical power, should be fine. As you can see, the dough's a bit too dry. So as it's running, I'm just going to add a splash of water at a time, just until it starts coming together and forms a nice smooth dough ball. Don't add too much at a time, just add a little bit, let it mix a little bit more, see if it comes together. And then, yeah, we'll keep doing that until it's nice and smooth. All right, once your dough ball's finished mixing, you want to get it out onto your work surface, and you just want to give it a little feel, give it a little, just a little knead by hand, make sure everything's incorporated well. Like always, you just want to bring it into a nice taut little bowl. You want to plop it in a bowl. This is the first time I do this. Is actually, it states in the recipe to rest it under some wet paper towel, which I've never done this before. I'm still going to put a plate on top because now we're just going to let it rest. Now we're going to put the meat on a stick. Now I've got my skewers here. I've been soaking these ones in water because they're wood, obviously. And simple enough, we're just going to get the chicken. I would leave a little tail on the end so we can move them around a little bit easier. And then we're just going to go ahead and get these all stuck on the wood, ready for the grill. Okay, so I've got my grill preheated. Now I've just got some Butterschmalz or some ghee melted on the side here. We're just going to give the grates a little bit of a rub down before we put the meat on. Then we just lay the meat on. We want to cook these over a low heat to make sure they get some good colour and to cook all the way through. And periodically, as we're cooking these, we're going to be basting with some extra ghee, aka Butterschmalz in this case. For the onion salad, pretty simple. Got a thinly sliced red onion here. I'm putting 1.5 in. And I got some coriander that I've just chopped up roughly. Then we're going to juice half a lemon over that. Then we got half a teaspoon of Kashmiri chili powder. And we got some more chaat masala going over the top. Okay, then we'll just give that a little mix up. Try and break up the onion a little bit more as well while we mix it all through. Once you've got it all mixed together and you've given it a taste, it's ready to go. Just on a side note, I thought this was going to be a little boring considering what goes into it. It's not much, but that is actually pretty damn tasty. Once your chicken's cooked through and got some nice gnarly bits like that on it, you want to set them aside and just give them a little rest for 5 minutes while we get the rest of the dish together. Okay, so my roti dough's rested. Now you just want to divide it into 8 equal pieces. Now you don't have to be as precise as I am with this. You could just, you know, put it in a log, cut it into 8 pieces, but if you want to do it by scale and you're interested, mine came out to 73 grams each. Okay, once you get them portioned out, you want to roll them into little bowls like that. Doesn't have to be perfect, it just makes the next step a lot easier. So, while we're working with one dough bowl, just have the others covered up to the side. Why you want these rolled into a rough round bowl when you start this, because making them into a round circle when we roll them out makes it much easier, instead of starting with something that's all weirdly shaped. It's not going to be a perfect circle in the end anyway, but, you know, you try a little bit. This is more of a square shape. This is fine. Also, the circumference, or in my case, the sides, Should be around 18 centimeters, which mine's about 20. It's fine. Just roll them out nice and thin. You should be good to go. So usually you would roll it out, you'd cook it in a frying pan, and you've got to do one at a time. So while the other one's cooking, you'd roll the next one out. But I have a flat top grill outside that's just begging to be used because the sun's out. So I rolled all mine out and I'm going to cook 2 or 3 at one time on my flat top. So my flat top's preheated. Slap it on. Cook it till you get some bubbles and some nice brown bits on there. Alright, when it looks like this, give it a flip. Cook the other side. Also, I haven't put any oil down on this. You want to cook them dry. Makes it better. And when both sides look like this, you want to take them off the hot top. I almost forgot a crucial step. As you pull them off the grill, or the fry pan, or wherever you're cooking them, you just want to brush them down with a little bit of melted butter or ghee. Or in this case, butter schmaltz. Finish the chicken off. Very simple. Got the sauce already made. And you just want to push all of the chicken off of the skewers. Straight into the sauce. Just like that. Then just mix the chicken through the sauce. Make sure if the chicken bits are stuck together, just break them up a little bit. That comes my favourite part. It's time to try this bad boy. So, I'm going to try and get a little bit of everything on here. Got some chicken. Also, this little onion number, super simple, but surprisingly extremely tasty. Give it a dip. The amount of citrus coming through in this dish, I'm loving it. Most Indian dishes that I try, they have a lot of other spice flavours and everything that make it pop. This one, super citrusy, but still retaining this nice heat that comes through. It's not overpowering. It's just marvellous. When MasterChef airs, it's one of my favourite times of the year because they put out recipes and I get to cook them like this. And Depinder, thanks very much for this banging dish.